It's no secret that I love the Silent Hill series and horror in general. I've always been drawn to the idea of beauty in horror, the kind you see in Little Nightmares, Fatal Frame, or Rule of Rose. Games like that really fuel my love for the genre. And horror isn't just meant to scare you, but it's supposed to stay with you, where the beauty of it all is exactly what makes it unsettling. So when Konami announced Silent Hill F, promising that exact feeling, I knew I had to play it. This video isn't going to be a story explained or a full lore breakdown. I just want to talk about how well Silent Hill F nails its art direction, the way the story is told through the world itself, and how the overall design supports its themes. Quick spoiler warning though, this video will bring up major game events, and I will not be beating around the bush. Also, trigger warning, this game depicts themes of forced marriage and has a lot of gore. So if you're not comfortable with that, please feel free to click off now. The game takes place in the 1960s town of Ebisugoka. On the surface, it's a quiet, almost peaceful place. It's calm in a way that feels intentionally soothing, but once the opening cutscene plays out, that calm is immediately shattered.
Hinako! How dare you speak to your parents like that?
Dear, please calm down.
This Junko knows how to show some respect. Why the hell can't you be more like her? Where do you think you're going? We're not done here, young lady.
Darling, please. You've already made your point.
Then why isn't she listening to me? If you hadn't spoiled her so much, she wouldn't act like such a brat all the time.
Hinako, don't go. Your father's just worried.
I'm gonna go see my friends.
Come on soon.
This is where the story truly begins. You get a sense of what Hinako's family life is like, a father who rules as supreme authority and is abusing that power, and a mother who defends him even when he's clearly in the wrong. After that whole ordeal, we finally take control of Hinako and head into the main town to meet up with our friends, Sakuko, Shu, and Rinko. This is where you really get to see Ebisugoka, before the horror sets in. It's a small, quiet, and peaceful town, in a way that feels genuine, and I really love how the game has you take shortcuts through the town to get the main, hub. It's subtly showing how familiar Hinako is with this place, and that it's not just a setting for a video game, it's her home. And for a brief moment, surrounded by Sakuko, Shu, and Rinko, it almost feels safe. Almost.
You trip!
Sakuko's body erupts into tiny spores, completely engulfing her, and this is the exact moment where the horror truly begins. You don't even have time to process what just happened before you're thrown straight into a chase scene. That chase is incredible. It perfectly captures the beauty and horror Silent Hill F is going for. The creature spreads red spider lilies, flowers traditionally associated with death in Japan, turning something lethal into something almost mesmerizing. You're terrified of dying to this thing, but the way the game frames that death, it's unsettling in the best way possible, and is easily one of my favorite moments in the game. And once that moment passes, Silent Hill F does something different. Instead of slowly shifting the world around you like Silent Hill 2 or 3, the game has Hinako simply black out completely, only to wake up somewhere else entirely. That's because in Silent Hill F, the other world isn't a place you go to, it's your mind. You're guided through the space by the fox-masked man, moving through the environments that feel carefully constructed rather than corrupted. And the monster designs here are just as striking, and I'll get into that symbolism later. But first, let's talk about the atmosphere of the Otherworld. The atmosphere of the Otherworld in Silent Hill F is quiet in a way that feels intentional. It isn't loud, and it isn't constantly trying to scare you. Instead, it feels oppressive through its calmness. There's this constant sense that you're not supposed to be there, and not because something is chasing you, but because the space itself feels wrong. The environments are clean and they're almost elegant, but that elegance only makes it more unsettling. Visually, the Otherworld leans heavily into contrast. Bright reds against the muted whites, and organic shapes growing where they shouldn't. The flowers bloom in places that feel invasive and really suffocating, and it turns something that's traditionally beautiful into a source of discomfort. And because this other world is rooted in Hinako's mind, everything feels deeply personal. The spaces do not feel random. They feel very deliberate and very forced. Like her memories are twisted into this physical form. You're not just exploring a nightmare, you're walking through her thoughts, fears, and the things she's being forced to repress. And that's what makes the atmosphere so effective. It doesn't rely on constant danger or cheap scares. It traps you in a state of unease where every quiet moment is loaded with meaning. And the sound design plays a huge role here as well. Long stretches of near silence are broken by distant echoes, soft footsteps, or sounds that feel just slightly out of place. And it creates this feeling that the world is listening to you even when you can't see anything watching back. It reminds me of being a kid, awake in the dark, listening to the house making its noises that it always does. There's nothing there. Surely there isn't, right? In Silent Hill F, the monsters aren't just threats. They are reflections of Hinako's fears, pain, and the oppressive world she's trapped in. They carry meaning as much as they carry danger. The pregnant monster is one of the most striking examples of this. On the surface, it's grotesque, bloated, and it's disturbing. It embodies Hinako's dread of motherhood, the idea of being forced into a life she doesn't want. Every detail of its form, every exaggerated curve, every lump on its body, it emphasizes the lack of control she fears, and the mannequins that appear alongside it are equally telling. They are extensions of her emotions, the anger, the resentment of femininity, and the frustration and pain she carries, and the way she sometimes wants to project that pain onto the world. Seeing them move and attack you is unsettling, yes, but it's also haunting. It makes you feel for her inner torment. And there's also the beer belly monsters. They have these huge, big bellies that obviously look like, well, men with beer bellies. It's gross and disgusting, and their aggression, it all conveys the power and oppression that Hinako fears from her father. She fears marrying someone like him, controlling, abusive. Every encounter with it presses that fear into the player's body, and its attacks are overwhelming, almost suffocating. The way it crawls up to you and just licks your face, it's condescending and it's gross. You can't help but feel the weight of that dread as you try to survive it. But what makes these monsters extraordinary is how their design blends in with the horror and the poetry. It doesn't rely on cheap jump scares. Instead, the visual design, the way they move, the environment they inhabit, all of it works together to make something you understand, not just react. Horror becomes meaningful. In this way, Silent Hill F treats its monsters as psychological landscapes. Each fight and every encounter is a glimpse into Hinako's mind, her struggles, her anger, her grief, and her dread. The other world and the main world are tied together through these designs. One world presents fear as immediate and physical, and the other as more emotional and symbolic. But in both, the monsters are more than enemies. They're stories, emotions, and memories given bodies. Experiencing them is unsettling, and that's the point. not because of the threat that they pose, but because they force you to confront feelings they embody. And that's what makes Silent Hill F so compelling. It's really terrifying, but it's also deeply human. It's a reminder that the scariest monsters are often the ones that exist in our heads. And once you step away from the immediate terror of these monsters, it becomes clear that Silent Hill F's true strength lies in its spaces. The world itself speaks, revealing fear, memory, and tension without a single scream. And that's why the school sections and the house sections really stand out for me. In the school, you encounter notes from her friends, snippets of conversations, small fears, and little glimpses of their personality. They make the empty corridors feel alive with presence and history. And the puzzles here are invitations to interact with the space and to piece together how Hinako perceives her world and herself. Unlocking a cabinet or solving a simple code isn't just about progressing through the game, it's about understanding her relationships and her trust and the unease behind what should feel normal. The house, on the other hand, is intensely personal. It's intimate, lived in, and very familiar. But that familiarity makes the underlying darkness hit even harder. Here, the puzzles and notes reveal daily life under control and repression. Opening a drawer or discovering a hidden message hints at the tension between Hinako and her father and the complicity of those around her. It's a reflection of her family life in a space that shapes her fears before the other world even takes hold. Together, these areas show how Silent Hill F uses environment to tell its story. The monsters show you fear, but the school and the house, for example, make you feel it in a quiet, personal way. The notes, puzzles, and carefully crafted spaces turn simple exploration into a study of Hinako's world and mind. It's intimate, unsettling, and honestly, it's unforgettable. By the time Silent Hill F reaches its end, the horror has changed shape. It isn't loud anymore, it doesn't chase you, it doesn't need to. It waits for you. The wedding monster. Hinako dressed for a ceremony she never even chose. It feels less like a final enemy and more like a conclusion that's inevitable. This isn't fear erupting into violence, it's fear that's being carefully packaged, polished, and made acceptable. It's tradition standing upright, asking nothing more than compliance. In that form, Hinako isn't being destroyed. She's being reshaped. Her resistance is smoothed away and replaced with something quieter, something easier to live with, something that fits. And when the true ending arrives, the world reflects that choice. The fog lifts, the town becomes clear, and the streets are visible again. The air still almost looks peaceful. It looks like resolution, like healing, but the key here is that the flowers remain. The red spider lilies still spread through Ebisugoka, blooming where fear once was. Flowers associated with death, finality, with things that cannot return. They don't feel invasive anymore. They feel settled. They are permanent. The town survives, but only because something else has been quietly removed. What disappears isn't the other world. It's Hinako's sense of self. The world regains balance, but only after Hinako gives up parts of herself that never aligned with what was expected of her. The fear stops not because it's defeated, but because it's been accepted. And that's what makes it so disturbing. The ending of Silent Hill F just shows how much Hinako had to lose for everyone to be happy. And in the end, she ends up losing it anyway. She ends up killing everyone at her wedding and running away. Silent Hill F suggests that conformity can look like peace, and that silence can feel like safety, and that a world can appear whole once you've learned how to disappear. There are no alarms here, no screams, just a town standing still, covered in flowers, quietly pretending that nothing was lost. And maybe that's the real horror. Not the monsters or the fog, but the idea that you only stops hurting once you lose yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It's a little bit different than what I usually make, but this video is very personal to me. I really do love Silent Hill F. It's just a really, really good game. I'm gonna be so honest. I really do think everyone should play it if you have the time. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.